Hey, good morning. Welcome to Greenlight Group's January webinar. Today, Senior Engineer Jay Batson is going to discuss NNMi reporting and iSPIs, including some tips and tricks that he's learned in the field during his years working with the software. Jay's also going to include a live demo to show you some of these approaches. Jay's a senior engineer at Greenlight Group. He's been with our company since about 2010. He holds several certifications from HP and Microsoft, and specifically related to today's presentation, Jay is an HP NNM certified engineer, and he's been working heavily in the NNM space for several years. My name is Stacy Madden. I am the marketing manager with Greenlight Group. I will be watching for questions as they come in during the presentation. So just go ahead and use your Bright Talk question button there, and we'll pause at different intervals to answer your questions. The presentation today is a little more technical, so if you do have a question, feel free to do that. We'll also like you to know that the slides are going to be available after the presentation, and Jay's got some information about that at the end. So let's go ahead and just look at the quick agenda for the overview of the day. And we'll just, as I've done the introductions, I'm going to give you a brief overview of Greenlight Group, and then I'll turn it over to Jay, and we'll get right into that. As I said, we'll answer some questions at the end, and then also periodically during the course of the webinar. So Greenlight Group. So we offer end-to-end management solutions in software, consulting, implementation services, and we also do go-live support. Our specialty areas, with HP as one of their gold partners, we offer the software under the service management umbrella, the operations management, automation, and then also business intelligence and big data. We're headquarters in Salt Lake City, Utah. Our area, we've actually provide services and consulting throughout the United States, and have actually done a couple abroad. We officially started in January of 2004. We're an HP, actually they've changed their nomenclature, so we're actually an HP Gold partner, and voted one of the top 100 fastest growing companies in Utah last year, and won the partner solution offering in 2012 with HP. So that's a little bit about us. Feel free also to visit our website. I am going to go ahead and turn the webinar over to Jay. Again, if you have questions, please use your question button, and we'll get to those when we have opportunities throughout the presentation. Thank you. Jay? Okay.
Thank you for that introduction there, Stacy. Just to let everybody know, of course, as soon as get going on this webinar, I come down with a cold, so if I have to pause for a moment so I don't cough in your ear, please forgive me for that. So just a couple quick things of what I've done just recently with Greenlight. What we focus on, as Stacey was saying, is the IT operations space, network management, NNM, site scope, application performance management. So basically IT operations. We have a wide portfolio and staff in that area. Of course, we're also looking to expand inside the HP suite of products. Something that I'm currently involved in right now is Oregon State Lottery. They've been NNM customers for a long time, an HP. So I was there originally when they upgraded from 7X to 9.0. They had some processes internally that they were using for 7X, and we made sure that those would continue to work for 9.0 once they got moved over to that. Currently, we're adding a lot of the SPIs for them, performance metrics, traffic, the NetSPI, and they also added network automation for their configuration management in their devices. some other upgrades that we're doing, Mentor Graphics, 74 locations worldwide. They have quite an extensive internally homegrown application that's scripted that they've ran over the last 10 years. Currently, we're trying to replace as much of that as possible with NNM and BSM. Discount Tire Company has been an ongoing customer of ours. Generally, we have a meeting with them once a quarter to make sure everything's going okay, and bring them up to speed on any of the new features in the performance for metrics by and NNM. Recently, I was just down there in Arizona with them, creating some customized reports. Some of the things I'm going to be showing with reporting were things that we did for them they were very interested in. So just a quick agenda of what I'm going to be showing. We're changing the performance tab. So if anyone is familiar with the performance for metrics in the latest versions of NNM, they've added a performance tab in the interface that has some metrics in it. What we're going to do is we're going to add some different metrics in there so you can kind of modify that. Go through creating a dashboard of reports, and then some of the command line utilities that basically just kind of help your day-to-day work and testing things and kind of fixing a couple things here and there that kind of pop up. Also, I took a couple of slides from Kevin Smith, who is an HP tech. He gave a really great presentation at HP Discover last year. He was kind enough to send over a couple of slides for me. He had a couple of really great tips that I really wanted to share as well. So we'll show those as well at the end there. So for the first item here, we just want to make sure, just to let you know that we're modifying a configuration file on the back end on the performance for metrics byte. And so technically this specific item isn't supported by HP. They are working to get this specific thing in the interface so that you can modify these metrics yourself, so to help you with your day-to-day job. So quick access to information, when things are going haywire in your network. So what we're going to do, again, this is just a screenshot of the performance tab in the NNM console. And you can see right here, these are the default metrics that show up here. Got that right there and that right there. So those are just the default metrics that show up. So the two files, and these files reside on the performance for metrics SPI server. These two locations on a Linux box is going to be optov new config ovpm, and on your Windows box, program files x86 hvbto software new config ovpm. So the two files we're looking at are this VPI graphs interface and VPI graphs node.txt. So these are just regular text files, very simple to modify these files. And here in the screenshot, you can see where, the path where I've been right here. So what we're going to do right here is we're going to add the node availability average and node reachability average to the exceptions graph. So this is just your standard graph that's going to be available on that performance tab. So we're in this blank spot right here, we're going to add a couple of metrics on here so we can have more items to look at right here. So when we look at this file, anyone who's familiar with moving Windows files over to Linux, you get these little Control M characters at the end of the lines, as you can see here. So when we copy this metric from one section to another, so right here, we've got our node availability and reachability section, and by default, we've got these two metrics that are in there. We're just going to copy these to a different part of the file, so that when we open up the performance tab, those will show up there. and then we're going to have to delete these Control-M characters. So notice when we do the copy and paste, it's actually just a caret and a capital M, so we need to delete those off. So we copy those to the other section, this node CPU memory exception rate. And so those metrics will show up underneath there. So once we clean this up, notice we've got our caret M's are gone now. We're going to go ahead and save the file and restart the performance for metric services. Now notice we've got on our CPU and memory exception rate graphs, we've got 2 more metrics on there. Now this also moves over to the troubleshooting piece and the performance for metrics. So if you don't have these graphs, these are in the latest versions of NNM. I believe they started putting this in there in 9.2, and this troubleshooting piece. So if you right-click on a node and go to performance troubleshooting, you get this workspace. And if anyone out there is familiar with Performance Manager for Operations Manager, this is basically the same interface. So they've ported that over to NNM so you can have that same kind of interface to look at tactical reports. So we're just going to stop right here for just a second, and I will show you discard our annotations. We'll show you the file on that server. So we'll just take a look at this real quick. So again, we're looking at the API graphs node. So we'll give you a better idea of what this file actually looks like. So again, it's just a straight text file. If you know, my dev installation here is on Linux boxes. So this isn't something I ported over from Windows. This is just how the file is formatted. So it does work okay. But if you're going to modify it, as you can see here, I did delete those caret M's off at the end of those files, or end of those lines. So again, this was where we added those items with this node CPU memory exception rate. And if we scroll down in the file, we see that those same metrics enter this node availability section. So all we did is we just copied and pasted these back up into this other section. So when we go into NNM, so we'll go ahead and pick a node here. Let's see, this is a core router here. Go to our performance tab. So we've got our extra metrics right here. Now I have seen in some installations where you don't need to restart the performance for metrics services. I know that can be a little bit cumbersome if you're doing this because it can take a little while to start. In some installations, if you modify that file and save it and then just refresh this tab, most of the time it will actually show up live. If it doesn't show, if these extra metrics don't show up, excuse me, you do need to restart the service, and then you'll go ahead and see those pop up in there. So we'll just stop real quick for any questions. Stacy's, any questions popped up in our chat box there?
Nope, haven't seen any questions yet.
Okay. Okay, so moving on then. We'll go ahead and take a look at how to create a dashboard using multiple reportlets. Again, these reportlets are available in, I believe, starting in 9.2 of NNM. So the first thing we're going to do is open up the reporting menu in NNM, and we're going to go ahead and choose a reportlet here. So to create the dashboard, you do need to use a reportlet. You can't use an actual full report. So in this example, we're just going to go ahead and use we're going to start with the top-end chart, but our finished dashboard is going to have 4 different reportlets running in it that you'll be able to present to whoever you need to in your organization, for vital statistics or anything that anybody wants to have quick access to. So anybody's familiar with running these reports in NNM is that before you can modify this report, you have to run it. So first thing you would do is go ahead and click on this top-end chart report, and then that'll go ahead and run. So the next thing you want to do is, after that runs, is go ahead and click on this fold-out menu, and then that'll give you some more options over here. So we'll click the toggle options, and you'll see something that you're very familiar with if you've ran any NNM reports before. So we'll go ahead and choose our metric that we want to show, our top end, our second metric, a utilization average, or maybe a throughput average, things like that. And then we can do our group and by. Right now we're just going to do just a qualified interface name and then click our confirm selection button. So that'll go ahead and run the report. So the next thing we'll do is we'll click on our fold out button again, and then we'll choose the bookmark button, and that'll allow us to look at the full URL here. That will take us directly to this report. So what we want to do is we want to copy and paste this whole URL into Notepad. Now the reason we do this is because you'll end up with some extra white spaces over here, and if you don't delete the white spaces out when you put this into the reportlet, what happens is the browser interprets those as extra white space, and the report fails to run. If you end up having an extra long URL here, Notepad does have a 1024 character limit per line, and it automatically wraps. That's okay. That does not affect the report. I'll also go ahead and just copy both lines in there just as a single line when we get to that point. So it just needs to be all in one line. So it looks like this down here. So go ahead and create as many reports as you need. As far as I know, there isn't a limit. I've done like 15 of these reportlets in one dashboard. So and just make sure every single one of those is on a single line. Now, something that I ran into, as it happens just in my dev environment, I actually haven't ran into this at a customer site, but that doesn't mean you can't run into this. When I created these links, for some reason in my dev environment, this SPI host name is coming up as unknown. So considering that is a dev environment and all the horrible things I do to those servers, loading and unloading things on them, I guess I've broken something. So what happened was when I went to put this link into a reportlet, it failed to run. So this actually needs to be the fully qualified of your performance for metric server. So I'm just going to stop this right here. We'll go back one. And I have a reportlet here. Let's go ahead and run this again. So we'll just pick this top-end table reportlet, and we'll show you how to fix this. Obviously, I'm going to have to go in and find out why this is happening. But if this does happen to you, we'll show you this is a way, a workaround to fix that, so at least you can get the reportlet done, without having to wait on getting something fixed or reinstalling something here. So when we pull out our bookmark here, notice we've got our, again, SPI host unknown. So there's a couple of things we need to do to fix this URL. So the first thing we need to do right here is put in our fully qualified. So we do HTTP. And make sure you put the port name. So by default, your port's going to be 9300. Also down here at the bottom, at the end of the URL, we've got domain.unknown. So you need to put the domain, excuse me, where your servers exist, and then that fixes the URL so you can use it. So then you can come back, at least get it done, and then come back later on and get that taken care of. So we'll come back to our slides here. So this is something I ran into. Again, I haven't ran into that at a customer site, and so hopefully if you run into that, that'll help you out there too as well. So once we have all of our URLs in Notepad, we're ready to go with the reports that we want to go with. What we're going to do is we'll go in the reporting menu, we'll go to the BI server and then the portal. And we're going to go ahead and create some folders to put our reports in. Now, best practice from HP is that if you're creating custom reports, you want to make sure that you're either creating new folders in our public folders or my folders if it's just something that only you need to see. You shouldn't put any custom reports in the default folders where the out-of-box reports exist. Basically, and we just do that by we just click on the public folders link, and then we use the new folder button, and then we can create a new folder. So I created a GLG custom folder, and then again, underneath there I created a demo folder. So we'll click on the demo folder link, and then here we have our blank workspace here to work with. There's nothing in here yet. So the first thing we need to do is create the dashboard itself, which is basically just some frames to hold the links that we're going to put our reports in. And you just click on our new page button, and then we'll run through a wizard here. So go ahead and name your dashboard. I'm going to call it My Dashboard, and give it a description if you want, describing maybe who should use it, or what you're putting it there for. The screen tips I've never found very useful, and I actually couldn't find where if you mouse over anything in the report once it's ran, where a screen tip pops up. So I've never had to use that before. So you can create a dashboard with a number of columns. I've always found that with my customers, with the data that they want to see is quite a bit of data. So generally, I have only done one column, but you do have the options to do a 2 or 3 column report. And then if you do that, then you can choose what your column width is going to be across the board there. This is just something you'll just have to go in and play with and see what looks best, and see whoever you're making the reports for, what they end up liking. So once you have that chosen, we'll go ahead and click this Add button down here in the bottom right. And just to iterate, in the latest documentation for the Performance for Metrics SPI, these instructions are there. There's a couple of steps that we're missing out of the PDF. So hopefully HP will get those fixed in the next release of the documentation. But that's one reason why I chose to go over this, is because there's a couple of things that I had to work my way through the first time I did this for a customer. So once we click the Add button down here, we're going to choose the iSPI Performance BI Utility link. And then on the next screen, again, this is just kind of a wizard thing we're running through. We'll choose the HTML viewer. We'll put the check mark next to that, and then we choose the arrow to move that over. And then that'll go ahead and move that over to the right side. Then when we click OK, when we come back, we have HTML viewer here. So what this has done is this has created a frame for us to put our URL in later on. So we can do this. We can click the add link again and repeat this. Or we can go ahead and just, on this screen, you can just do this as many times as you need to and keep moving the HTML viewer over until you have as many as you need. So in the end, we've got 4 of these here. So at that point, we just go ahead and click next, and we'll go to the next part of our wizard. We go ahead and give your dashboard a name. So we have my example dashboard, and instructions. We'll just put these are instructions here so you can see where that shows up when we look at the dashboard. On these screens, you can change the font and the color and the size of how these show up on the dashboard. Don't check any of the boxes that are here. And then click next. And then we have our last page of the wizard. Don't check any of these boxes as well, and then go ahead and click finish. So now we have the place. We basically have our frames for our URL links to put in. So now we're going to go ahead and put our reports into the dashboard. So we go ahead and click the My Dashboard link right here, and that'll bring up our empty dashboard at this point. So notice we had done that HTML viewer 4 times. So that gives us 4 places to put our links in there. So on the right side here, we'll go ahead and click on the Edit button on the first HTML viewer frame. And notice this is where our names are. So my example dashboard, and these are instructions. So if you wanted to put something there for who should be looking at that or what the purpose of the dashboards are, overall metrics, something to explain what's going on there. So for the first link, I believe I did a top 10 utilization interfaces. That's one thing when you do your notepad, as you're working through this, you probably want to put a little note to yourself of what that link is actually for. Because after about the 8th one, you don't remember anymore. So, I will have to go back and run each one and figure it out. And again, I just want to point out this domain unknown. So if you get some weird error when you try to run this, this is just a screenshot I was doing when I was actually preparing this whole thing. So I hadn't actually ran into the error yet. So I just wanted to reiterate that just check the URL just to make sure that the correct domains and server names are in there. The pixel height is how big that frame is going to be. Generally 400 is okay. It's usually been between 400 to 450. And then go ahead and click OK. Now, as soon as you click OK, the report is going to run. You do need to wait for the report to run before you click anything else. I do have a ticket actually open with HP because it kicks you into kind of la-la land. It doesn't end up refreshing correctly, so you need to wait for the report to run before you start trying to edit anything else. So if you want to edit this report again or move on to the next one, you need to wait for it to run. So the second thing here is that we ended up with this slide bar right here, and you can see right here at the bottom, it's just we can only slide maybe 2 or 3 pixels. So that means if we go back and edit this and add another 10 pixels, that'll take care of this slide bar and it'll make it go away. So what we'll do is then for each frame, we would go ahead and click on the edit button and add each one of our links to create our dashboard. So in the end, we've got our first metric, And then we've got our second reportlet as they scroll down, and I'll show you what this looks like in the end. So then there's your third reportlet, and then your fourth reportlet. So let's go ahead and kick out here. So this is what the reportlet ends up looking like. I'm sorry, the dashboard and what it ends up looking like. So if you want to adjust this, say you wanted to add another time period or maybe change the device filter on here, what you can do is go ahead and use this Run Prompts button. So again, people who are familiar with performance for metrics, these are all things that I'm sure you've done quite a few times. So this is our topology filter. Right now we're not filtering on anything, so in my small dev environment, we're just running these against the whole environment. So we would go ahead and click Next after we changed our topology if we wanted to. So then this is our time filter. So if we wanted to expand this to 2 hours or 12 hours, usually you want to do a relative start. Relative start means the end of the report is going to be now. And we'll do last rolling interval. So this last rolling interval is the last completed metric gathering cycle that the performance for metric SPI has done. So depending on if you have a very heavy load on your server, sometimes the metrics can take as long as 15 minutes before they're able to be reported on. If that's the case, generally you need to add some resources to the server because it should be pretty close to within the last 5 or 10 minutes. And then we can add some other items here. So we've got, let's say we would just want to change this to interface name, and we'll put the node name here, and we'll leave our metrics, and then we'll click Finish, and then this will go ahead and run. So once this is done running, we can go ahead and grab our new bookmark and go ahead and fix that and put that back into, click on the Edit item here and put that bookmark back into there so that our report will run correctly, the new way that we want it to run. Now, you notice that I can edit this frame right here from the reporting menu. So you do have to watch their permissions and make sure that any users who shouldn't be editing this don't have edit permissions on the report. That way this button is not there, so then the only thing they can really do is just come to this dashboard and see the items that they want to check out. Let's see, so next slide. So have we any questions pop up there yet, Stacy?
No, I don't have any. Is anybody watching want to shoot over a question? Go right ahead. We'll keep following those if they come in.
Okay. So a few things here that the command line utilities of NNM that I use quite a bit. These are a couple things that I kind of take for granted because I use them all the time, doing demos for customers and setting different things up. Someone who uses who hasn't had a professional services or a consultant come in and help them set up NNM generally doesn't get into the command line utilities too often. So sometimes I kind of take advantage, or I take for granted the fact that some of this stuff is just I just work with it every day. So I just wanted to share some of these things with you because every time I share these with a customer, it's always kind of a light bulb thing. So we'll go through some of these real quick here. The first item we're going to go through is the NNM SNMP walk command line and SNMP set. So one thing that I ran into quite a bit is hung telnet and SSH sessions on HP ProCurve switches. And it's kind of interesting because when I Googled how to kill a hung telnet switch for ProCurve, I got the phone book. There's quite a few people out there who've had that problem and have posted things. So this was something that was pretty interesting that I've actually used myself. So What we see here, this is actually a screenshot of network automation. You can see down here at the bottom, network automation cannot take a snapshot of this device because the maximum number of telnet sessions are active. So obviously, you can't log into the device and see what's going on because you have your maximum number of sessions. So what we would do is we would use NNM SNMP walk.ovpl to look at our connection states. So for the OID on most ProCurve switches is this TCP con state, and that is case sensitive. Now the nice thing is, when you're running this from your NNM server, if this device is in NNM, you don't have to put in a community string. It'll just use what's in the database and return, what's going on there. So we can see right here we've got 3 connections. So our first part is the IP address. This middle number is the port. Obviously we're on telnet, and then we've got the IP address that's being connected from. So if we can find out where that's at, we can go. If it's a server or a program that's leaving these sessions open for some reason, we can go fix that. Or if that's a person who's not closing their sessions correctly, or they're doing some crazy things on a router, we can go talk to them. I believe this is just the session ID number. This actually doesn't really mean anything to us. It's just the OID number. And the OID type is integer, and then 5 just means it's active. So what we'll do is go ahead and kill this session. So the OID, if we set that OID to 12, that'll go ahead and just kill the session. And we're going to use the NNM SNMP set.ovpl to using the SNMP write string to go ahead and set that OID to kill that session. So this takes 4 arguments. We've got our -C space SNMP write string, our host name or IP address of the device, the OID type. In this case, if we go back, we see that it was integer. So when we set it, our type is going to be integer, and then the OID value, so it's going to be 12. So then our string ends up looking like this item right here. So that's all one command. And then we run the NNM SNMP walk. We can see that we've only got 2 sessions that are open now. So we can take a look at that real quick. So we'll go ahead and connect to that device by telnet. So here's our ProCurve switch. Let's get this out of the way. So here's our session, and we still got this open. So that's our performance for metric server. So we'll log into NNM. And this is easier done as root. On Windows boxes, you would just start the command line utility as administrator. So the command line utilities for NNM on a Linux box are an opto vbin. And on a Windows box, you would input that. You would put the install drive. So it'd be like d:\/ program files x86/hp/hpbto software, and then it would be in bin. So we'll do our SNMP walk on that device. On the 10.20 20.1.5, and then we put in the TCP con state. So we can see my connection here. Now again, I just want to iterate that this is case sensitive. So if we just put in con state without the caps, this OID doesn't exist. So we do need to make sure that we have the correct OID. So then we do our SNMP set. And so we get our write string. And our host. And then the OID. This is going to get big, so we'll make this bigger. The OID type and what we're setting it to. And we'll see my telnet session here gets closed. Pretty straightforward there, but that's just one of those things that kind of, just having that information can kind of make your day easier as you go through some of these things that you have to deal with. So the next thing we'll do here is the NNM SNMP notify. So it's how to simulate traps for testing. This command cannot be used to simulate NNMi management events. So these are, if you were to do a NNM trap dump .ovpl, you would see these come in. So it really does look, as far as NNM is concerned, they look like real traps. So it's not, we're not doing anything tricky here. We're actually sending a trap into NNM, into the NNM database. And then we'll just take a quick look at a node up trap use case that I've done for a few customers. Getting short on time. So what we want to do, the easiest way to kind of learn how to use this command line utility is to find a trap that you want to duplicate that's already in the database. If not, just find a trap, and then we want to go ahead and duplicate it. So the first two things that we're looking at are these items here that actually have OIDs on them. So you go ahead and open up the trap that you want to simulate. Click on the Custom Attributes tab, and that'll show us what we're looking at. And these are the items that we're really interested in. So we'll take a closer look here. So this CIA SNMP OID, this is the actual OID that the trap came in, that when the device sent the trap, this is the OID that the device used when it sent the trap. So this OID has to be defined in the NNM database, the trap database, in order for it to make it all the way into the NNM interface. The other two OIDs is just other information that came in with the trap, and the rest of this items, all these items that start out with CIA, these are enrichments that NNM adds to the trap. So anything that starts out with, other than the CIA.SNMP OID, everything else is something NNM added and did not come in with the trap. So the only items we're concerned with are these top three items in this specific case. So with this information right here, we can go ahead and simulate this trap. So our command line is going to end up looking like this. So we'll use the NNM SNMP notify. This is just the formatting. If you look at the command line help files, this is just how it tells you to format it. So -A being the address of the device that you want the trap to look like it came from. And then localhost being, we're just sending it to the local NNM server because that's where we're running it. And then the next item is CIA SNMP OID. So this is the OID that needs to be defined in NNM. So when I say that, let's bring this up here. So when I say a trap needs to be defined in NNM, go to configuration, open up incidents and SNMP trap configurations. This is where that OID needs to be defined. Now, if we look at this specific OID that we're using here, this is actually just an SNMP link-up trap. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, it's at 1.1.5.4. So if you look at that, that's 1.1.5.4. So this would be one of the easier traps to simulate here. So and then to make sure that this is actually a trap that we're sending, we can actually add another OID on here to verify that this is something that we're doing to kind of signal maybe it's a test. So how this OID is formatted right here is all I'm doing is taking the original OID of the link down trap and then adding .1.1 after it. And then we just call it octet string, which it is. It's just a string, and we just call it my trap. So when we simulate that, we can see that this actually did come through as we had wanted it to. And there's the octet string of my trap, and this is what it ends up, the command line ends up looking like on the top there. So again, for a lot of these things, we're going to make the slide deck available because a lot of this stuff is pretty, copy and paste, and you want to make sure you get it right. You want to look at this slide for a while and, kind of copy it in there. Make sure you get all this stuff right. So what I've used this for the most is that NNM does not throw a node up event when a node returns from a down state. All it does is it just closes the node down event, and it disappears from the incidents window. So if we look at incident management, open key incidents, we're not going to see any opened node down events here. So we've got, looks like one of our Wi-Fi nodes went offline. So if this comes back up, all this is going to do, it's going to close and then go away and disappear from this view. And it'll just be up. So what where I've used this the most is that what we'll do is we'll create an automatic action on the node down event that when it closes, it will call the SNMP notify command line utility and pass the arguments of what node it was, IP address, host name, things like that. Basically, you just kind of write like a 3-line script to go ahead and call that, and it passes those in there, and then that way you get a node up trap, a node up event. So that way someone can go look in there and you can see when that was thrown, and then maybe someone in your operations center can go ahead and close that. So do we have any questions yet there, Stacy?
Nope, I guess everybody's following with you. No questions right now.
Okay. So the first item that I showed, the modifying of the metrics in the performance tab, came from Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith has been an HP, I believe he's in professional services for 13 years working with NNM. And he did a really great presentation. So these next couple of tips are from Kevin, and these are things that I ran into. In fact, I didn't know how to fix until I was in his session at HP Discover 2013 this year. So, and I sent him a link to the webinar. So if you're listening, Kevin, thank you so much. Appreciate it. So the first thing here is with NNM 9.2. We notice that clicking on the scroll bar goes down only one side. Goes down one line instead of a whole page. This is something that I found kind of maddening, and I really didn't know how to fix, and really didn't have the time to fool with it. So as it turns out, that this is just a feature in Firefox. So if you want to click on here and go a whole page, what you do is adjust Firefox. So we go to Options, choose Advanced, and uncheck Smooth Scrolling, and that will fix that issue. So if you want to scroll down multiple pages in Firefox, that's how you would do that, and that's something I've shared with every customer, because every customer I had, they complained about that to me. So again, thanks for Kevin on that one. This is another one that I ran into and still run into, is the blank analysis pane in IE. So of course, first you want to check that you have data for the last hour, because by default your analysis pane in it's the performance tab in IE is in NNM is going to you want to make sure it's going to default to the last hour. So you want to make sure that you have that data in there. So once you make sure that you have the data, you want to make sure that the time is synchronized on both of those servers and that they have the same time zone setting. So when MPS is installed on a different machine from NNMi, red cross appears in the performance panel with the analysis pane instead of the expected graphs. So just follow these items right here. Internet Explorer browser, click Tools, and then click Internet Options. Navigate to the Security tab, select Trusted Sites, and add the NPS and NNMi servers into the Trusted Sites. In the custom level, open the Security Settings dialog, and then add Enable Access Data Sources across domains. This is something that I ran into in IE quite often, and again was quite maddening. Something that I couldn't figure out how to fix. So a couple of things from Kevin Smith from HP that we appreciate. And that's all I had for today. So any questions yet? We're right here at the top of the hour.
No, I'm not getting any questions coming in.
Okay. Well, again, we'll make these slides available. What we're going to do is you're going to go ahead and you're going to want to take a screenshot of this, because I haven't made the FTP account yet, but I'll do that here in the next hour. So our FTP site is http
Can you make that bigger, Jay? It's real hard to see.
Yeah. We'll make our font that big. How's that? Does that look okay?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. So that's our FTP site address. So we'll make this available for the next week. We'll create the username Bright Talk event, and then the password is going to be I attended. Spell that right. Yep. Bright Talk. So that's going to be your password. I attended Bright Talk. So take a screenshot of that. We'll make that. That'll be up in the next hour for these slides, and we'll keep that up for the next 7 days. And then after that, it will go away. If you don't get the slides, please feel free to email us, and I can get those to you. Other than that, here's our contact information.
We did get a question, Jay.
Oh, okay.
The question is, do you have experience with network performance reporting in Service Health Reporter? If so, can you share any tips?
With Service Health Reporter, we do have someone who does that. It's not me, unfortunately. But if that is something that our customers do ask for quite a bit, is to harvest that data from the MPS into Service Health Reporter. So if you do want to contact us about that, we can get you some information on that. So, but I'm not the person who does the SHR on our end.
So could she send you an email and you can forward that?
Yeah, let's put my email up here. So go ahead and take a screenshot of that and go ahead and just send me an email, and I can get that to the right people there. And hopefully we can get answer any questions that you have around that.
Okay, I'm not getting any more questions, so thank you everybody for joining, and again, just give Jay an email if you have further questions, and have fun with those slides. Have a good day.
All right, thanks everybody.